As I've seen, most of the learners, they are facing the difficulties regarding learning vocabulary. Last time when I was giving the session, so one learner asked me one question that I'm learning new words every day, but still I'm not able to use those words in my speaking. So this question became a kind of frequently asked question because whenever I come across the learners, every day they just ask this question. So I thought that we can have a fruitful discussion about this. So I think this little information can help them to tackle this problem. What do you think about it? Have you ever come across this kind of learner who asked the same question?
Yes, Vikram, there are a lot of instances when I face this kind of situations. Few days ago, actually, in a demo session, a learner was asking me that, ma'am, I don't know how to memorize the vocabularies. I don't know how to learn the vocabularies. On top of that, even if I memorize it, even if I learn it, I don't know how to use them in practical context, in practical situations. So I think that that's a very trending kind of question that learners are asking nowadays. So yeah, definitely we can start having discussion on that today. I feel that would be great.
Absolutely. And one thing is that most of the people they are learning new vocabulary, but what kind of strategy that they are applying, so somehow it doesn't work. And I heard
Correct.
this thing every day. I'm learning 15 to 20 words, but still, when I'm trying to speak, I won't be able to use a single word that I have learned yesterday or in my previous learning. So this is one of the biggest difficulty, I would say, because somehow we are studying, but the way we are practicing, maybe the strategy is not right. It could be the reason.
Correct.
So in today's section, we are going to learn some sort of tips and tricks. I hope those tips are going to help the learners to ace this kind of problem. So would you like to give some sort of tips from your side? And I would be
Sure,
also sharing my experience, like how I'm trying to learn this language at the same time, how I learn vocabulary. Might be these tips will help the learners. So please proceed.
sure, Vikram. Thank you so much. Definitely, I would love to give some tips and tricks regarding this particular topic that we are discussing today. First is using the words in a practical context or real life situations. Basically, when we take examples of situations happening in our real life, we can easily relate that. I think we can easily relate with that. We can easily find it very common happening between us or happening among us. So basically, for example, every day you are going for a walk. So there are some words you can use to frame that particular sentence, something that you are doing regularly in everyday life, in everyday context. You can use those sentences, and in using those sentences, you can use some vocabularies or new words. For example, if I say that I am finding something among a group of some things, for example, there is a bag and I am finding a pen, okay? And I'm just, what I'm doing is that I'm removing all the things. So you can use rummaging, right? Rummaging out of all the products, out of all the things, I'm finding a pen. So like that, you can use some advanced vocabularies, but it does not mean that you have to use advanced only. You can use so many words according to your level, according to the way you want. And there are many words actually, like context. This is another vocabulary. In place of that, you can use situation. In place of that, you can use circumstances. So many words are there you can use regularly in practical context. So I will say that it's a game of the mind. Whenever you are relating anything with your practical situations or real life situations, you will find it easy to not memorize. I will not use the word memorize, but to remember those words or vocabularies. What do you think, Vikram?
Yeah, absolutely. This is very predominant thing when you're learning vocabulary. So if we are trying to relate that word with our own life or we are including some sort of personal examples, so it becomes easier for us to recall that vocabulary again. And I have seen this thing whenever I'm learning any kind of vocabulary. So I just try to create that kind of situation where I can put this word easily. And when we relate the word with our own situation, so it becomes easier. At the same time, it sounds more natural to the listener. So this is very eminent thing which you have consolidated here, that whenever we are learning vocabulary, so we should should always relate it with our personal life or real life situations, and in
Mm-hmm.
which context we are going to use that vocabulary. So that's really great thing. And here I would be adding one more thing. So
Yeah.
suppose we are reading something, whether we are reading articles or any kind of novel, any story. So it depends upon the learner. So whenever they are encountering any new vocabulary, so what they need to do, firstly, they need to understand the meaning of that particular word, because some words would be polysemy, means one word, it has different meaning, five
Correct.
different meanings, right? For instance, the word is eminent, right? It means something that is famous. So I will say, I'm living in an eminent city. It means the city is famous. Or eminent means something that is important. So we can also say, yesterday I gave you an eminent topic, means an important topic. So here, one word has different meaning. So you need to understand the meaning in which context or the situation are you going to use that particular vocabulary. So this is also going to be quite interesting. Here, you do not need to put some extra efforts when you're learning the vocabulary, because you have learned one word, only one word. Now it has three to four different meanings. So at least you are not able to recall for all four meanings, at least you can recall one meaning of that word. And according to the situation, you can use the a word. So whenever you're reading, underline the word, whatever the word which is difficult, try to find out the meaning of that word. At the same time, it is very essential that you need to understand the parts of the speech. If you don't know the parts of the speech of the word, you won't be able to construct error-free sentences. So this is also quite important thing. What do you think about it?
Absolutely. Actually, the thing that you said about ambiguous, right? Different sentences or different words having different meanings. Many times in different contexts, we can find that there are certain words, one word having various kind of meanings, isn't it? For example, light. It can also mean something which is not dark, at the same time, something which is less heavy or not heavy at all. So basically, there are various kind of meanings of a particular word. So we just need to understand. And that's why I say, Vikram, not memorize, but understand. It's very important. You know?
Yes.
Definitely, I totally agree with you. Another tip which I would like to give from my side is that if you are only learning vocabulary, it's not sufficient. It's necessary, but it's not sufficient in the context that you need to use them in real life in the form of sentences. Only learning, just like in mathematics, only learning the formula is not sufficient. You need to use them to solve problems. Just like that, in real life situations, you need to use those words by framing sentences, by talking with people. In social media, also, sometimes when you visit someone's about handle, then you can find that they are talking or they are writing about themselves. And that time, also, many times I have found that my friends, also social media handle, they are using very beautiful words in the form of vocabulary. So you can use those words in the form of sentences in your social media handles also. Like you can describe about yourself by using different vocabularies, different sentences. And other than that, you can also frame some sentences to talk with your friends. You know, just now I am talking with you. I may be using different words with ambiguous meanings. So in that way, you can have conversation with your friends, with your family members, anyone around you in the form of sentences. How? By using good vocabulary. I think that would be a great thing. What do you think, Vikram, about it?
Yeah, whatever the point that you have included, this is really essential, I would say, because I believe that if you don't use it, definitely you will lose it. So if you do not want to lose it, then make sure that you are gonna use it. So whatever the vocabulary which you are learning, so just try to frame some sort of sentences, and as much as you can, just try to use it in your sentences. Whenever you are practicing or you are having a conversation, try to use that vocabulary intentionally. When we are just trying to
Mhm.
use something on purpose, so definitely this is gonna create a link to our brain. And then what is gonna happen? So we will be able to use that vocabulary automatically, and the vocabulary will come in your speaking automatically. You do not need to put some extra effort. So this is very great thing. And one more thing that I would like to add here. This is kind of a funny, or I would say enjoyable task that we can do, we can make some sort of mnemonics
Mm-hmm.
techniques, right? We can create our own code language or own way of learning some sort of methods and all. That is called mnemonics method. For instance, you have learned the vocabulary that is gregarious, okay? And it means someone who is sociable or kind of friendly. So you can recall this sentence: Greg is friendly. So whenever you are coming across this word gregarious, so you can recall Greg is friendly. It means gregarious, which means friendly. So you can create these kind of mnemonics to remember the vocabulary, means your own strategy. So this is also kind of a very interesting task that you can do by yourself. You do not need to depend upon others. We can create our own strategy to recall the vocabulary. What do you think about it?
Definitely, Vikram. Mnemonics, it's a very important element. We can really use it in various ways. I always do that. Since my childhood, I am always creating visual stories in my mind. I am creating some pictures, as you said, funny pictures, visual stories, in doing anything, not only in spoken English. While you're studying for your subject, at that time also you can create many visual stories, many funny pictures in your mind in the form of mnemonics, right? And in that way, you can create a cobweb. You can relate everything together in spoken English also. As you said about the word
Yes.
gregarious, which means sociable. So you can also imagine that Greg is the name of a person. And as he's friendly, you
Yes.
can just imagine that he's speaking to everyone in the party. And his name is Greg. It's his nickname. And he's speaking to anyone in the party or to everyone in the party because he's sociable. So in that way, you can relate two things: gregarious and its meaning sociable. So basically, that's a
Yes.
very important point you have given, Vikram. I totally agree with you. Definitely. Okay, another tip that I would love to share today, that will be after mnemonics, that will be actually, okay, before doing that, I will be giving a message. One more thing I want to say, that whatever tips and tricks we are discussing today, I think it will be very useful for them. And it's not that if one thing is not useful for them, they can go for the other thing, because this is something flexible. They don't have to go for the same thing only that we are seeing. Many elements we are adding. And last thing that I want to add, after that, you can give your bonus tip, Vikram. That is very important.
Yes.
You can write a diary. You can keep a diary with yourself where you can write some things about what you are doing regularly, about your daily life. And in that way, you can also use new vocabularies to write whatever things are happening in your regular life. I always maintain a diary. Today what happened, I write it down. What happened to my friends, what did I discuss? And I also use certain vocabularies while writing. That is a conversation to oneself. And in that way, as you say, we don't have to give a quotes. That will come naturally, isn't it? That is what
Yes.
I do. What about you, Vikram? Would you like to give some bonus tips today?
Yeah, definitely. One thing that I just want to mention here as a bonus tip, that if you're learning vocabulary, so you can learn topic specific vocabulary, so that will help you. At the same time, do not learn 15 to 20 words. You won't be able to recall a single word. It's better to learn 2 to 3 words or different kind of vocabulary. Not only you just need to learn list of words. Make sure that you're going to learn synonyms, idiomatic expressions, phrasal verbs, collocations, and so on. So you have to learn different kind of vocabulary at the same time. The thing is that you need to learn just 2 to 3 words, frame sentences, and try to use them intentionally in your speaking. This is the thing which you need to do. The more you are going to use it in your vocabulary, the more flexibility you will be getting in order to refine your vocabulary. So this is the thing which they need to do, because sometimes we are learning a lot of words, and this is the thing. So try to learn at least 2 to 3 words in that manner so that you can recall it easily. Yes, that's what I just wanted to
Correct.
add. So do you want to include something extra for the learners that can benefit them?
Actually, Vikram, I think that all of the pointers have already been incorporated today in today's session. You have also given some tips from your side. I have also given some tips from my side. So I think that will be more than sufficient for today. However, I just want to give a small message to all of the people who are going to watch this video, that there is always a starting for everything. It's not that you need to, they might get a little bit confused that where should we start from, grammar, this tips or what? What should we do first? I would just request them that whatever you find easy, start with that. You might come across a lot of videos which might make you feel confused that this video is saying this, that video is saying this. But we always say, I think you have also incorporated it to your learners, Vikram, that whatever you feel comfortable with, start with that. Isn't it? If you are
Absolutely.
interested in learning vocabularies, start with vocabularies. If you are interested in writing or maintaining diaries, start with that. You just need to start. That's the thing. And today, our main agenda behind discussing this topic is that, as you have also said, most of the times we are getting this kind of queries from learners. That how can we learn different vocabularies and how can we use them in real life? The only thing that I want to say is that don't memorize, only understand the topic, create visual presentations in your mind or representations in your mind, and then connect it with your real life. That's the only thing that I want to say. Anything you want to add, Vikram, before concluding the
I
session on your
uh,
side?
whatever the things that we have mentioned, these things will definitely help the learners. So in upcoming section, we'll be bringing something new. Whatever the question that has been the question which have been raised by the learners. So we'll be coming up with some amazing discussions in the upcoming session. So it was really a great conversation, and I hope this information